Hello and welcome back to another Football Commentaries live stream. It is time for the second legs of this season's League Cup semi-finals, and either Newcastle or Arsenal could be the first team to book their place in the final at Wembley on the 16th of March. Newcastle do have the advantage after the first leg at the Emirates as they came out victorious with goals from Isak and Gordon. Newcastle are currently in the top four race in the league after 9 wins in a row in all competitions between December and January, but they have lost 2 of their last 3, both at home, to Fulham at the weekend and also to Bournemouth. But Newcastle usually always score at least 1 goal, at least in each game, as they've only failed to score in 3 of their 30 games in all competitions so far this season. This is a must-win for the club, as Newcastle have not won a major English trophy since 1955, which is now 69 years ago. For the Gunners, they will need a miracle comeback tonight as they trail by 2, but they come into this game with an unbeaten run of 5 and a thumping of 5-1 against Manchester City on Sunday evening. They have won 3 trophies under Arteta, which do include an FA Cup back in 2020 and 2 Community Shields. But the club have not won this trophy since 1993 and have lost 3 finals since that last League Cup win. It is 2 wins from 2 for Newcastle against Arsenal this season, as they also beat them 1-0 at home in the Premier League at the beginning of November after an Isak goal in the 12th minute. But with a place at Wembley up for grabs, can Newcastle protect their 2-goal advantage, or will Arsenal turn it around against the odds? It's a big ask for Arsenal, but they probably couldn't come into this game any more confident after their result at the weekend against Manchester City. A 5-1 win at the Emirates. It was an early lead they took, and it's something they could do with tonight, taking an early lead in the game, and cutting that deficit in half. And Martin Ødegaard got that goal. And then City were pretty dominant in the game. Arsenal almost allowed City to have the possession, and City did get their equaliser in the 55th minute with that Erling Haaland header. And then a couple of minutes later, they got back in front, Arsenal, with Thomas Partey, and then they just ran absolutely riot all over Manchester City, just pressing them and just making them really work for their win. It was a crazy turnaround that last half an hour, and it's given them another 3 points. It means Arsenal are comfortably in second position in the league, 6 points off Liverpool at the moment. I believe it's 6 points, or is it less than that? It could be less than. Yeah, no, it is 6 points, and Liverpool have that game in hand, and if they were coming into the second leg Arsenal 2-0 down, but the second leg was at the Emirates, I think there'd be a different discourse for this game. But the fact they've got to go to St James's Park and be 2-0 down, it is a big ask for Arsenal. And personally, I will be surprised if they are able to turn this around, because Newcastle are usually pretty strong at home. I mean, they've only won 6 of their 12 at home in the league this season. They were on a run of 3 wins in a row at home until the last 2 home games, where they lost 2-1 at the weekend to Fulham and then 4-1 the game before that at home to Bournemouth. So I feel like it has been at times for Eddie Howe and Newcastle this season. It's a little bit hit and miss, a bit of a bumpy road so far, because although they're 5th and they're on 41 points, they've only won 12 of their 24 league games, losing 7 already. They went on a run of 5 games in the league without a win through the middle of September to the end of October. So just almost had too many slight little dips here and there. And then, of course, recently they went on that really impressive one there when they won 9 in a row between December and January. But then they've also just dipped off a little bit the last few weeks. Of course, that loss to Fulham at the weekend at home, and then also to Bournemouth as well by 4-1. So despite that being league stats and statistics, this is the League Cup, and they want to reach another League Cup final. It'll be their second League Cup final in 3 years for Newcastle. They've reached 2 League Cup finals previously in their history, and they were both beaten by Manchester clubs. They were beaten by Manchester City by 2-1 in 1976, and of course most recently to Manchester United 2-0 in 2023. But they are looking very desperately to try and win this first trophy since 1955. I mean, it's a long wait for these Geordies, but it almost feels like they are getting closer and closer as each year goes by. They're improving their squad year on year. I mean, I think this is the best looking Newcastle squad they've had for a very long time. You know, the likes of, you know, bringing in young fullbacks. I know Livermento's on the bench tonight, but he's been starting a lot of games. You know, Livermento at right back, Lewis Hall at left back, and then Guimaraes and Tonali as two central midfielders, Gordon on the left, Isak through the middle. It's a really exciting Newcastle squad, and with the Eddie Howe tactic of being really aggressive, pressing, tackling, getting crosses in, being direct, I just think it does allow Newcastle to be a real, you know, pain for pretty much all the teams that they do end up facing, and they're going to make this very difficult tonight for Arsenal. That is for sure. Jay, hi guys, how are we all doing? Well, yeah, I hope everyone is excited for this game, because the first leg was a month ago. It was on the 7th of January at the Emirates, and Isak got the first goal in the 37th minute, and then Gordon got the second in the 51st minute. But interestingly enough, in that game, Newcastle faced 23 shots from Arsenal, only 3 on target though, and in Newcastle's 7 shots, they had 4 on target. So despite having, you know, so many less shots, they still had more on target than the Gunners, who really struggled that night. As both teams are walking onto the pitch here at St James's Park, just holds over 52,000, and of course that will be absolutely sold out. That is for sure. Both of these teams are going to look to be the first team to book their place in the League Cup final for the 16th of March, as we'll go through both sets of starting 11s here, and it's 2 changes for Newcastle from their starting 11 against Fulham, and one of their changes is on the right side of defence. Kieran Trippier comes in for Livermento, but starts off in goal. It's Martin Dubravka, who is making his 8th League Cup appearance of his career now, the 36-year-old. A back 5 at right wing back will be Kieran Trippier, who's making his 110th appearance for the club. On the left-hand side of the wing backs, it will be Lewis Hall, who became a permanent signing this summer for £28 million from Chelsea. And 3 centre-backs of Fabian Schär, Sven Botman and Dan Burn, who scored last season for Newcastle in 2 seasons ago for Newcastle in the League Cup in the quarter-final stage when they knocked out Leicester. 2 central midfielders of captain Bruno Guimaraes, who's got 1 goal against Arsenal, and it came at home in the 21-22 season. Alongside him will be Sandro Tonali, who's got 2 League Cup goals in his career, and they both came this season in their quarter-final win at home against Brentford. On the right wing will be Jacob Murphy, who made his 200th appearance for Newcastle last time out against Fulham. On the left, it will be Anthony Gordon, who's not scored in any of his last 3 Premier League games, but did score in that first leg against Arsenal last month. And leading the line up front there, Swedish 6'4" striker Alexander Isak. He's on 19 goals in all competitions this season. He's got 2 in the League Cup, 1 against Chelsea in the 4th round, and then, of course, in that first leg semi-final against Arsenal, can he look to try and score his 20th goal of the season? We will have to wait and see. And to deal with Alexander Isak, we've got an unchanged Arsenal team from their lineup against City, and that was also the same lineup they put out against Newcastle in that first leg. It's David Raya in goal, who's only ever picked up 1 win in 9 against Newcastle in his career. Back 4 of Jurien Timber, William Saliba, Gabriel and Miles Lewis-Skelly, who scored his first ever Arsenal goal at the weekend against Manchester City. 3 midfield, making his 150th Arsenal appearance, is Thomas Partey, and just in front of him will be Declan Rice and Martin Ødegaard. On the right is Gabriel Martinelli, who's 2 goals away from 50 for Arsenal in his 209th appearance. On the left is Leandro Trossard, who's got 2 goals in 11 against Newcastle, and they were both in home fixtures for Brighton. And leading the line up front is Kai Havertz. He's got 2 goals in his last 3 Premier League games against Manchester City and Arsenal. He's also got 2 in 3 in the League Cup this season in the earlier rounds against Bolton and Preston. And in all competitions, Kai Havertz is on 15 for the season, 4 of them in the Champions League, and they'll definitely be needing him on it tonight and scoring the goals if Arsenal want any chance of progressing into the League Cup final here. And for Arsenal, the League Cup just hasn't been their competition in their history. They've made 8 League Cup finals altogether, only winning 2, and they've lost their last 3 finals, Arsenal, against City in 2018, Birmingham in 2011 and Chelsea in 2007. So it's definitely a competition where they don't historically do that well, but Arteta will want to change that because he'll want to win his first League Cup as a manager. but they've got a mountain to climb. Literally at St James's Park, there's a 2-metre slope at this stadium. So they've got to climb it, but Newcastle will be meeting them at the top of that hill, trying to defeat them and beat them to that Wembley spot in the League Cup final. As Arsenal get us underway, Rice going back to Raya as Arsenal kick left to right. It'll be Newcastle right to left for this first half. There's an early foul coming together there between Havertz and a Newcastle player, and he's won his side an early free kick here, the German striker. I think Anthony Gordon was the one who blocked him off. Yeah, just a pull of the shirt by Anthony Gordon, really silly and rather stupid by the Newcastle number 10, quite visibly grabbing the shirt of Kai Havertz and pulling him to the ground early on. A strange foul, it must be said, from the former Everton winger, and it's going to be a free kick for Newcastle to defend and for Arsenal to attack on this right-hand side, about 30 yards out. Good angle for a cross here, left or right foot. If it's a right foot, it will more than likely be Declan Rice, who's got one goal against Newcastle in his career, and that came in the 18-19 season when he was wearing a West Ham shirt. And it does look like it will be the 26-year-old to take this free kick as it goes into the box, headed away by Isak, and behind for a corner for Arsenal, and we know how good they are at set pieces. Isak usually doing the goal scoring, that time having to do the defending there. If you are new, if you could like and subscribe, that would be fantastic. Shows their goals from corners in all competitions. Arsenal have scored 12, but Newcastle have only conceded from one corner. So it's going to be a real battle of who can score and defend these corners, as it will be a Rice short corner to Martinelli in the box, and he will try and work across him possibly. Tries an outside of the boot ball towards Ødegaard, goes behind him, and it breaks here for Murphy on the left-hand side. Being chased down by Martinelli as he enters the Arsenal half. Murphy still drives. Martinelli still tries to get there, and he brings him down. Simon Hooper, the referee, blows for the foul, and it will be a free kick for Newcastle. They're wanting more than the free kick. Simon Hooper in control of the game, and he's telling the Newcastle players to go away. Stop asking for the card, because it won't come. But it will be a telling off, though, for Gabriel Martinelli, who gave away the ball pretty cheaply on the edge of the box there, because that was a dangerous chance for Arsenal, because we know how good they are from corners. And he just got in front of him there, Murphy, and Martinelli caught him and brought him down, and 2.5 minutes in, we've had a free kick each, and it's Newcastle's turn this time from this near side to get a ball into the 18-yard box. There's the left foot of Lewis Hall and the right foot of Anthony Gordon. I think it's an inviting angle for both. Gordon moves away from it, still stays down the line, Gordon, but it will be a delivery into the box here for Lewis Hall, who's got 3 assists in his last 9 Premier League games. He goes short here to Tonali, who will then put the ball in himself. It's flicked away by the head of Rice, but only as far as Kieran Trippier on the edge of the box, who plays it down the right-hand side to Guimaraes, returns it to Trippier, out of his feet, and he goes on the angle here, and there's a cross from Schär, and he's over it, and another pull there by a Newcastle player. Isak pulling down Timber, and it will be a free kick in their 18-yard box here for the Gunners, as it's been a lively start here at St James's Park. We're just over 3 minutes in. It's Newcastle 0, Arsenal 0, but the Geordies lead 2-0 on aggregate as Raya sends that free kick long, high up into the Newcastle half towards Havertz, poked away by Botman, controlled by Guimaraes, and Tonali gets away from Partey, and then Gordon sends it over the top for Isak. He's away from Gabriel. Isak in the box. Can he find the finish? He can! He smashes it home into the roof of the net, and Newcastle have extended their lead to 3. And Wembley is well and truly in their sights. It's a rapid attack, and it's completely caught Arsenal off guard. I think there will be a VAR check for an offside, but as it stands, Newcastle have a 3-goal lead on aggregate, and 2 of those 3 goals have been scored by their main man, Alexander Isak. It's the free kick from Raya that went up high in the air, and it was Botman to beat Havertz to it. Guimaraes chested it to Tonali, and then Gordon took over, sent it over the top, down that right-hand side to Isak, who looks well onside to me. Saliba sitting just slightly deeper. And Isak on that right side of the box had plenty of time to enter the 18-yard box and wrap it towards that top left corner. Absolutely no chance for David Raya. Isak made sure that went in. That is complete precision from the Swedish international. That's a beauty of a finish. You don't get more top corner than that. And Newcastle have extended their lead. It's Newcastle 1, Arsenal 0. 3-0 to Newcastle on aggregate. As I believe VAR is still going to check this. Oh, it's close. It really is close. VAR tonight is John Brooks, and his assistant on VAR is Nick Hopton. So I'm sure they will come to the right conclusion. But that Isak finish, shooting across goal like all good strikers do. Did he time his run though, Isak? If the goal stands, it's his 20th goal in all competitions in just his 27th game of the season, which is really impressive from the former Borussia Dortmund striker. But the Newcastle fans anxiously wait around St James's Park to see if this goal will stand or not. It's not the end of the world if it doesn't count, because they still have a 2-goal lead on aggregate, but how they would love to have a 3-goal lead instead. And the VAR decision has ruled it, I believe, for offside, but in the League Cup games, the referee has to announce it to the stadium. So it is offside. Simon Hooper announces to the stadium that Alexander Isak had just gone slightly early. I believe that Saliba was just sitting too deep, but of course, another angle must have shown that it was in fact Isak ahead of Saliba. And Arsenal survive a huge scare, a really big scare. And it remains 2-0 on aggregate. Isak doesn't get another goal against Arsenal. It would have been his third in 5 against them. As Raya sends this free kick from the offside long, and again, Cher this time beats Havertz to it. But Gabriel heads it away from Isak, and then Saliba gets it back to Gabriel on the left side of defence. Down the line to Rice. It zips into him and keeps it in. Trossard caught from behind there by Kieran Trippier. And it will be a free kick for Arsenal on that far side, about 15 yards inside the Newcastle half. It's over 7 minutes in, still 0-0, but we've had a disallowed goal there from Alexander Isak, as he was the one who scored in the 12th minute in the Premier League fixture between these two at St James's Park this season. And that's how it stayed. As we're going to get this free kick taken that Leandro Trossard won. And Rice will leave it for Ødegaard to take. Newcastle playing the high line. Arsenal, after timing their runs correctly, they go short to Rice, who will drive down the left-hand side into the final third, lays it off for Trossard, tries to return it to Rice, it takes a deflection, and Trippier avoids the corner, and it's a throw-in next to the corner flag. Really well defended there by Kieran Trippier, the now 34-year-old, making his 31st League Cup appearance. He scored twice in the competition, both for Burnley, in September 2011 and August 2013, as a long throw into the box here. Goes towards Havertz, but it's thrown straight out of play. And it's a goal kick for Newcastle. I think it was Miles Lewis-Skelly there who put the long throw into the box, and it couldn't be kept in by Kai Havertz. Coming up towards the 9th minute, still 0-0. But Newcastle lead 2-0 on aggregate after their win at the Emirates last month. And to get to this semi-final, Newcastle have had to beat Forest away from home on penalties in the second round, then Wimbledon at home in the third round, Chelsea at home in the fourth round, Brentford at home in the quarter-final stage, and of course that win away at Arsenal last month. As the ball is high, and it's Gordon who's knocked off the ball by Thomas Partey. He was knocked to the ground off the ball by the Ghanaian. Simon Hooper blows for that foul. The ball was bouncing and Thomas Partey completely took his eye off the ball and just shoved his shoulder into the back of Anthony Gordon. Again, a strange foul to give away there from Thomas Partey on his 150th Arsenal appearance. It's on this Newcastle near side again. So it'll be Lewis Hall with a left-footed cross into the box. He's got plenty of tall plays to aim for, the likes of Byrne and Botman in particular. As the ball goes into the 18-yard box, it can't be headed forward there by Botman, cleared by Ødegaard on the edge of the area. All as far as Trippier on halfway, who can turn back and go to Martin Dubravka, who waved away interest from the Saudi League to stay at Newcastle as he's overtook as number one at the moment for Nick Pope, who was out injured and now can't get back in the team as Guimaraes tackle, but the ball deflects out of play for a throw-in for Newcastle in their right-back position with Kieran Trippier, who spent 13 years coming through at Manchester City, left in 2012, and spent 4 years at Tottenham, playing over 100 times as his ball down the line there goes out of play, and it'll be a throw-in on the halfway line this time for Arsenal on that far side, where it will be taken by their number 49, Miles Lewis Skelly, scored his first ever senior goal for the club at the weekend. He's an England under-19s international, but I'm hearing rumours that Thomas Tuchel's having a good look at the current Arsenal left-back, as it's Gabriel who is fouled by Isak. The fans don't agree, but it was given by the referee, as Isak helps Gabriel back to his feet. Simon Hooper, the referee, 42 years of age, took charge of his first Premier League game in August 2015. And he was the referee for Liverpool's League Cup quarter-final win against Southampton back in the end of December. As midway inside the Arsenal half on the left-hand side, Gabriel sends it down the left-hand side with the free kick, headed on by Havertz into a more central area, kicked away by Tonali, sliced backwards by Saliba, and it will reach Raya, who's still outside of his 18-yard box, and he slices it back out towards Saliba, who misjudges the bounce, and it drops towards Gordon, who pulls Timber to the ground. And again, the referee blows his whistle for a foul, not letting much go at the moment. The referee, Simon Hooper, as Arsenal are already playing again, with Rice on the ball in a central area, almost tackled there by Shea. He has to go back to Saliba, who just about keeps it in, plays it down the line towards Rice, who can't keep it in. Newcastle have a throw-in the final third, and Fabian Schär celebrates that throw-in with the Newcastle supporters, because that's a good press, making Arsenal uncomfortable early on in this game. 12 minutes in, still 0-0. Isak had a goal in the back of the net, but disallowed due to VAR and an offside. It's into Isak, into the run of Tonali. First time pass cut out by Gabriel. He goes forward to Trossard. Poor touch, tackle by Schär, but it deflects back through off Trossard to Havertz, who's drifted out to the left wing, goes back into Lewis Skelly. He wants to go forward himself here, but Murphy's pressing him, so has to go back to Gabriel. It's now with Raya, the goalkeeper, in the 18-yard box. Goes forward to Ødegaard, then out to the right centre-back of Saliba. Now with the right-back Timber, driving away from Byrne, playing it into the middle here to Ødegaard. He's now going out to the left-hand side now to Gabriel. Well worked here from Arsenal. Still in their own half, though, at the moment. Into the centre circle of Partey, keeping it away from Tonali. Ødegaard has it. The captain. Through the middle here to Martinelli. Lays it off for Timber. And then back to the halfway line to Partey, who quickly switches out to the right-hand side here to Leandro Trossard. He's got Havertz to his left if he wants to use him. Trossard then goes on his own instead with a cross. Stopped by Botman, cleared by Byrne to Tonali, who then misplaces a pass to Hall. And it's still in the final third here for Arsenal with Trossard finding Partey 30 yards from goal. Doesn't know his next pass at the moment. Will shift it quickly, though, to his left to Lewis Skelly, who lifts it into the box towards Martinelli. And a vital touch from Botman sends it back to Dubravka. And 13 and a half minutes in, it's still Newcastle 0, Arsenal 2. Arsenal 0, still 2-0 on aggregate for Newcastle. And for Arsenal, their run, it started with a 5-1 home win against Bolton in the third round. And then a 3-0 away win at Preston in the fourth round. Then in the quarter-final stage, they beat Crystal Palace 3-2. A Jesus hat-trick. And then, of course, being defeated in that semi-final first leg by Newcastle. And for the home side, they have won 4 of their last 8 against Arsenal since Eddie Howe took charge of the club. And we've only had 1 draw in this fixture. In the last 26 meetings, that draw was a 0-0 back in January 2023 at the Emirates. So Arsenal are playing out from the back here with Gabriel at left centre-back, lifting the ball high up to the halfway line, looking for Havertz, cut out by Byrne, controlled by Guimaraes ahead of Ødegaard, then out to the left wing here to Gordon, inside the 18-yard box, running at Saliba, onto his right foot, then tackled by Ødegaard, who doubled up on the English winger. And it's now Arsenal on the ball with their on their right-hand side of Ødegaard. Through to Timber, trying to play ball towards Havertz, deflects off Hall, and then dealt with by Botman to keep it away from Martinelli. It's now Newcastle on the ball halfway line, out to the right side here to Trippier. Takes it forward, progressing the play here for Newcastle. He's Got the overlap of Murphy, goes inside to Guimaraes instead on the edge of the area. Then out wide to Murphy it goes. They've got 3 in the box to aim at. He puts it into the far post towards Hall, who can volley it into the side netting. And it's a goal kick for Arsenal, but it's positive play there from Newcastle. 15 minutes in, still 0-0 in this second leg. They have won 8 of their last 10 games in all competitions, Newcastle. But 2 losses in their last 3. Both at home to Bournemouth and Fulham. The lowest they've been in the league this season was in mid-December, and they were sat in 12th, and now they're in 5th, right up into towards those top 4 places. So that good run of form in December through to January really put them in good stead to fight for top 4 for the second half of the season as Dubravka gets the ball with his feet. He's taken too long, and he's just about cleared it away from Trossard. Does go through to Timber on halfway. He works it back to Saliba in the Arsenal half, and then back once more to Riot on the edge of the 18-yard box, but Dubravka just needs to be careful there. Almost pickpocketed by the Belgian. As it's Raya. He's going to go for a long kick down the Arsenal right, but no one's made a run for it, and he'll go straight through for Dubravka. Bad giveaway there by David Raya, the Barcelona-born goalkeeper. Spent 7 years in England, starting off at Blackburn Rovers, and then spent 5 years at Brentford. Just the 1 win against Newcastle in his previous 9 for the Spanish goalkeeper, and that was in a home win last season when Arsenal beat Newcastle 4-1 at the Emirates. Dubravka takes the goal kick as that ball forward was seen out for the goal kick. It's headed forward by Cher. Hooked out wide to the right side by Isak and then played over the top back towards him as he challenges Saliba with it. Saliba kicks it away left-footed, but as far as Isak, who controls it brilliantly on that Newcastle right. He's now battling with Gabriel, who takes the ball off him. And it's Trippier to kick it forward, deflects off Gabriel straight through to Riot. And it's Arsenal who can start again at the back. They want to try and move it quickly. And he rolls it to the edge of the area here to the number 41, Declan Rice. Goes back to Riot. He's not being pressed at the moment here. He will go long down the middle of the pitch towards Havertz, who chests it down for Martinelli. His headed touch works its way to Ødegaard. He's now got Timber making a positive run forward from fullback. Still with Ødegaard, looking out to the left side now, playing it out to Rice. One more to Lewis Skelly, who's 1-on-1 here with Trippier. Tries to take him on in the box. It deflects through for Trossard, who takes it on the turn. Wanting a right-footed shot. Guimaraes doesn't allow him to do so, but he can keep the ball with a pass to Saliba. Now on the right side to Timber. Can he take on Hall? No, he goes back here into Trossard, who's on the edge of the area, then forward into the box for Ødegaard. Onto that left foot, playing the 1-2 with Martinelli. Ødegaard with the shot, well blocked by Botman. And it deflects out to the left back for Arsenal of Lewis Skelly. But it's good football there from Arsenal. Working it to their captain, Ødegaard, who couldn't quite get the shot, challenging Dubravka. As it's Partey, midway inside the Newcastle half for Arsenal. Forward to Trossard, flicks it into Martinelli. That is brilliant. And then it falls through to Martin Ødegaard. And right-footed, he slices it wide. Well wide of the goal. Arsenal growing into the game now and playing some silky football at times. The way it fell to Ødegaard was a little unfortunate. Martinelli's actually come off quite bad from the tackle on him. It was played through in between the lines by Partey to Trossard. Brilliant flick through the legs of Botman by Trossard. And then Byrne came sliding in. And as he put the tackle in, it deflected off Martinelli into the path of Ødegaard. Rather fortunate the way it did fall for Arsenal in the end there. Got the ball though cleanly, Byrne. Did catch Martinelli though on the follow-through, that is for sure. Then the weak shot Ødegaard strike. The weak foot Ødegaard strike just went well wide of the post. And Newcastle have got the ball forward with the goal kick. And it's a 1-2 between Gordon and Isak. And Isak's away. Early left-footed shot off the woodwork. Rebound from Murphy. Into the back of the net. Now Newcastle have their third goal of the tie. Right after Arsenal looked like they were going to score themselves. Newcastle go up the other end. A simple 1-2. And eventually, through the attack, they've got the ball in the back of the net. Jacob Murphy with the goal on his 20th League Cup appearance. It's his first ever goal in his career against Arsenal. And Newcastle, from a goal kick, it was pumped long by Dubravka. Saliba lost out to Isak, who touched it for Gordon, who then put it back round the corner to Isak. Then on the edge of the box, an early left-footed shot hit the inside of the left post. It went across goal and read it to dispatch. The rebound was Murphy, who just squeezed it into the near post. It's a good finish because it came back out to him quickly. And it just flicked off the post and in for Murphy. So Isak hit one post and it went away. Murphy hit the other post but went into the back of the net. And for a second time in the game, Arsenal have conceded a goal. And for Newcastle this time, it will stand. Everyone's onside. And it's Newcastle 1, Arsenal 0, just over 20 minutes in. And it's 3-0 on aggregate to the home side. You now have Wembley well in their sights. Really good finish that from Murphy, because that came back out to him pretty quick as Isak hit the post. And although Murphy hit the post himself with his shot, it clipped the inside of the post and in as Arsenal want a rapid response with a ball into the box. It's headed away by Botman, away from Rice. Now Lewis Skelly in the corner of the box on the left-hand side. Trying to find a ball inside to Partey, finds him, takes the touch, moves on once more to Ødegaard, who shoots right-footed, blocked by Gordon, drops to Tonali, and the break's on for Newcastle. Sandro Tonali, across the halfway line he goes. He's got Gordon making the run around him to the left. He plays it into his path. Gordon, ahead of Saliba, but can't quite keep the touch away from him. And then Saliba brings it away. And it's now Ødegaard on the right-hand side, playing it down the line to Havertz. Running at Burn. Havertz, pretty isolated out there, no red shirts around him, goes into the middle of the park here to Partey. It's now Rice drifting out to that left side. Switching it back across to Ødegaard on the right. He's got the overlap of Timber. Ødegaard will go for the shot himself, and he tries to find the bottom right corner. Drags it a couple yards wide, and it remains Newcastle 1, Arsenal 0, 3-0 on aggregate. And the Newcastle fans are loving this at the moment. Already had the ball in the back of the net twice. The first one didn't stand. Isak was offside. This time he was onside but hit the post. But Murphy was there to score the rebound. And for Murphy, he has scored his 5th goal of the season in all competitions. He scored 4 in the Premier League, 1 more than he got in the entirety of last season. So we're back underway here. And it's Havertz touching the ball down for Trossard, who will run into a central area here. He's got Martinelli out to the right-hand side. He's delaying the pass. He goes to Timber instead, who will then eventually find Martinelli, who's one-on-one with Dan Burn. He's going to try and run into the 18-yard box if he can. Goes through the legs of Burn, but then cut out there by Lewis Hall, who at left wing-back is shielding the ball right next to the corner flag. Clears it away, but only as far as Ødegaard. He touches it into Havertz in the box, squares it across, and a shot from Trossard is saved from Dubravka and put behind for a corner by Sher. Almost the architect of their own downfall there, Newcastle, giving the ball away cheaply. Lewis Hall with a pretty poor clearance. And the Ødegaard first-time touch fell through for Havertz, who squared it to Trossard and 6 yards out. Just tried to sweep the ball into the back of the net. But it was well saved by Dubravka. Got down low to his right. And then Sher was taking no chances and put it behind for a corner. And the set piece will be an in-swinger from Ødegaard into the 6-yard box. It goes, and it's a header away there by Trippier. And it'll be same again for both. Arsenal to attack it, and Newcastle to try and defend it if possible. Getting Murphy, exactly. Scoring his first ever goal against Arsenal in his career. The 29-year-old, after failing to score in the previous 13 against the Gunners. But can Arsenal try and respond rather quickly? It's another in-swinger from Ødegaard. It's right on the goalkeeper. And it's headed away, I believe. And it's going to be another corner. Trippier's the one who gets it behind again. That was right on Dubravka. Almost curled into the back of the net. And that's a really vital header from the former England international. Retired from international duty in August of last year. Kieran Trippier. Of course, will always be remembered for that free kick against Croatia in the World Cup semi-final. Although it actually didn't really mean anything in the end, because of course Croatia went on and won in extra time, didn't they? Back in the Russia World Cup. As again, Ødegaard for the 3rd time puts an in-swinging corner in. It drops in the 6-yard box and is cleared away again by Trippier. And Newcastle break out. Gordon
just knocks Timber over. And it's a free kick for Arsenal, taken quickly by Gabriel, but the referee wasn't ready. Simon Hooper, the referee, standing his ground. Yeah, the Trippier just hurrying that ball away from the third and final Arsenal corner in succession. Just over 25 minutes in, still Newcastle 1, Arsenal 0 on the night. 3-0 to Newcastle on aggregate. Arsenal work it to the right-hand side to Timber. Back into the middle to Saliba. Everyone behind the ball for Newcastle as it stands is Rice. Looking out towards the left-hand side, but then turning towards his right and playing it to Ødegaard. Time on the ball here for the Norwegian. Martinelli's got everything to his left and he's been fed the ball. Then back inside it goes to Ødegaard. He's on the angle for the cross and he puts a deep one in towards Gabriel, who can try and head it across, but only heads it behind, and it's a goal kick for Newcastle. Arteta trying to applaud his side there because he wants to try and make them believe, be as positive as possible. They did reach a semi-final earlier in his Arsenal managerial career with Arteta in the 21-22 season, but were knocked out in the semi-final stage by Liverpool. Dubravka's just slightly struggling at the moment. Bit of a collision in the corner. Well, collision with the corners that were taken. So Nick Pope is out there warming up. Not a bad replacement to bring on as a goalkeeper if your first choice gets injured. And Dubravka will take the goal kick. Slightly hobbling though, the Slovakian. All he conceded 8 in his 9 Premier League appearances. As he goes long and gets it well into the Arsenal half, but it's Saliba to win the header on Isak. Drops to Martinelli, who keeps away from Tonali, heads it to Ødegaard, volleys it forward towards Havertz, header away on the halfway line by Botman, headed into the air by Tonali, headed away by Saliba, up towards the header Havertz, who misses it, and then headed forward by Botman, kicked by Ødegaard, headed on by Havertz to the edge of the Newcastle box, and there's one more header in this passage of play, as Botman heads it back to his goalkeeper of Dubravka, and Newcastle can start again in their 18-yard box. As Newcastle last season won 12 of their 19 league games at home, just losing the 3 against Manchester City, Forest and Liverpool. It's Hall, can't quite keep that ball in. Gordon's pass just too far in front of him. And it's a throw in here for Jurien Timber to take. Finds Martinelli, who returns it to Timber on halfway on this near side. Going back into the number 2 of William Saliba, who started 50 of Arsenal's games last season in all competitions. So now with Gabriel, his centre-back partner. Trying going for the long switch out to the right side towards Martinelli. Touches it down into Havertz. That's brilliant. Then back into Timber. Well kept by Arsenal. Martinelli found in the space here on the right wing position. Running at Hall. Back inside it goes to Timber, who returns it to Martinelli. He's going to try and run at Hall again. Into the box he goes. Tries the cross. Cannons off Hall. And it'll be a throw in for Arsenal. Towards the corner flag on this right-hand side. Martinelli leaves the throw-in to be taken by Jurien Timber, who missed last season with an ACL injury, played 2 games last season in the Premier League. As Martinelli puts a ball into the back post where it's headed away by Trippier. Outside of the 18-yard box it goes, but it's recollected by Miles Lewis-Skelly. Back into the angle here for Rice. Then across to Saliba, just in front of the centre circle. Keeps it away from Gordon. Then finding the right-back Timber. Forward to Ødegaard on the half-turn. Works it to Martinelli on right wing. Then back it goes into Timber. Partey, 30 yards from goal. Try to play the pass. Works it to Timber again. Out wide to Martinelli, but it's a testing pass. He can't get it under control. And just under half an hour in, it's an it's a Newcastle throwing in the left-back position. And it's Newcastle 1, Arsenal 0. It's been Arsenal dominating the possession, but they did that in the first leg. They had 70% of the ball, Arsenal. 23 shots, just 3 on target. And, of course, failed to score in that game. But Newcastle certainly aren't struggling to score goals in this tie. It's Gabriel now on the halfway line. Newcastle couldn't keep it from the throw-in they had. Saliba to Ødegaard. Tackled there by Tonali. Hobbles off the pitch. felt that one, Martin Ødegaard, as Arsenal got back underway without their captain, taking the throw in quickly. Gabriel in front of the centre circle. No pressure from any Newcastle players at the moment. It's now Partey, who's just 5 yards away from him. To the right it goes to Timber. Ødegaard's back on the pitch on that right wing. Not received the ball yet, though. It's Partey. Deflected pass drops to Saliba. Rather fortunate there for the former Atletico Madrid midfielder. Gabriel in between the lines for Rice. Can't quite touch it out to the left to Trossard. And Newcastle can try and break with Guimaraes. He's got Murphy marauding to his right and he tries to find him in the space. But Gabriel comes across and defends him well. A Trippier leaves a heavy one on Gabriel. And it's going to be a foul and a little bit of afters. Kieran Trippier knows what he's doing. Trying to get in the head of Gabriel, who we know can be rather emotional at times. Sao Paulo-born centre-back Gabriel. Over 200 appearances now for Arsenal. Did well to defend against Murphy, and then Trippier came in and didn't really have any intentions of winning the ball. But then when Trippier tackled him, he left a few words in the ear of the Brazilian. And the centre-back reacted with a little arm being thrown towards Trippier. Raya takes the free kick, controlled on the chest to Havertz. That's brilliant. Then out to the right to Timber, but it's misplaced, and it's gone to Lewis Hall instead, just inside the Newcastle half. He's going to go for a ball over the top for Gordon. In behind, Raya off his line, kicks it away. Out to the right side to Timber, who heads it backwards to Ødegaard, and forward to Timber, then forward to Havertz, and over his head with the hooked clearance towards Martinelli, who can't quite beat Botman to it. It will be a throw-in, though, for Arsenal, midway inside the Newcastle half. Thrown by Havertz to Timber, then inside to Partey in the central area. On his right foot, then out to the right side to Ødegaard. Into the box towards Martinelli, cut out by Guimaraes, the captain. Who will bring it away down the Newcastle left, midway inside their own half. Into the space forward for Gordon, who can keep it in and keep it away from Partey. But the footwork's too much, and he's tackled by Timber, who will play it across the pitch to Trossard. Lays it off for Rice. Lewis Skelly getting forward from fullback. Rice decides to go the opposite way instead and finds Martin Ødegaard 25 yards out. To the right winger Martinelli. He's got everything to his left as he runs at Hall. Onto his left foot, goes for the cross, deflects back to him off his head. And to Tonali, who can work it to Gordon, who just gets rid. But alongside Gabriel, who chests it down but slips. And Isak can get in there and take it away from him, but his pass is misplaced. Can't find Murphy, and it's now with Trossard. Quite a lot of misplaced passes in the last couple of minutes. As we're 32 minutes into this first half, and Arsenal trail by a 1-0 against Newcastle and 3-0 in aggregate, as Ødegaard slips it through into the right side of the box towards Havertz, who can't keep it in. And it will be a goal kick for the home side. Well dealt with there by Sven Botman, who's only making his 5th appearance of the season in all competitions. He's only just returned himself from an ACL injury. Kept him out from March through to December. He's made 3 starts in the Premier League against Bournemouth, Wolves and Spurs at the start of January. He's been on the bench for the last 2 in the Premier League. Sven Botman did play the full 90 minutes, though, in that first leg against Arsenal. So, pump forward again for Newcastle. It goes beyond Gordon and Partey, and it'll be swept up at the back by Saliba. Over the halfway line it goes, looking for Havertz, who can touch it towards Ødegaard, but it's met by Tonali instead, who can't quite work it to Guimaraes. Partey takes over, and out to the left back it goes here to Lewis Skelly, who worked under Jack Wilshere, coming through the Arsenal academy. They're now Arsenal left back, and of course Wilshere's moved on into a coaching role at Norwich in the Championship. Trossard lifting the ball into the box towards Rice, header won by Botman, out towards Trippier, plays it forward for Murphy, who just kicks it into the air towards Isak on halfway. Saliba's favourite to win it, but then it's Isak who gets there ahead of him instead. Isak with the ball with his feet, out to the left it goes to Gordon, loads of room for the former Everton man. He will keep it in on this near side, and he'll run towards goal here. He's 1-on-1 with Timber, on his right foot, edge of the area, lays it off for Tonali, who takes over. As the attack slowly withers away here for Newcastle, but Tonali still has it. Back to Gordon, then forward to Guimaraes. A couple of keepy-uppies from the Brazilian, and then finds Tonali, who works it to Guimaraes again. Last touch off Timber as he dives in. There's a throw-in the final third for Newcastle. Bit cheeky there from the captain, Bruno Guimaraes. A couple of keepy-uppies there, right in the middle of play. As Gordon's been knocked over by Ødegaard, and that'll be a free kick for the home side. Just a bit of frustration there from Ødegaard, who has scored at this ground in Arsenal's first title charging run where they just fell short in the 22-23 season. It's going to be Lewis Hall again with the left-footed delivery. In it goes. It's a deeper one. Right into the box where he falls to Schär, whose shot ends up going past the post and away. Just didn't quite catch it there. Fabian Schär, the Swiss international, looking for his 20th Newcastle goal of his career. As that's a brilliant bit of skill. Lewis Skelly working away from Murphy. Then down the left-hand side to Havertz. Will beat Botman to it. Just outside the box here, Havertz. He gets the cross in. It's 2 over hit. It'll run through for Ødegaard, though, on the opposite side, who cannot keep it in. And he's shoved away by Tonali, and it's a throw in the left-back position for Newcastle. Good bit of skill just inside his own half there by Lewis Skelly. But then it was just ruined by that Havertz cross, which was wildly overhit by the German. Got a good goal-scoring record in this competition, Kai Havertz. 7 goals in 10. Hat-trick in the third round against Barnsley back in September 2020. Has lost one final, and that was to Liverpool in February of 2022. As it looks like Arsenal are going to be forced into a change, and it's another attacking injury. One they don't need. They've already got a hamstring out. They've also... Can't talk. Going too quick. They've already got Saka out with a hamstring injury. He's been out since December. And Jesus is out with an ACL injury, so the last thing they need is Martinelli injured, but it looks like he's done some damage to his muscle on his right leg. And they are ready to bring on Ethan Nwaneri, the 17-year-old, and he will be coming on for Martinelli. And this will be Nwaneri's 25th senior appearance for Arsenal. He's got 7 goals, and they've all come this season. Scored in that game against Manchester City off the bench at the weekend. He's got 3 in 3 League Cup games. A brace against Bolton, then 1 against Preston. So Martinelli off for Nwaneri. And it's going to be a throw-in for Newcastle in that left-back position. It's bitterly disappointing for Martinelli, who's 2 goals away from 50 for Arsenal. Long throw by Byrne, volleyed forward by Partey, but deflects back forward for Newcastle as far as Timber. Now Ødegaard to his left to right, then forward to Havertz. Angles tight in the box, the touch is also heavy. And collected by Dubravka, seen through by Botman. And it's still Newcastle 1, Arsenal 0 as we come towards the end of this first half. We're just about to tick into the 39th minute of the game. Long ball forward for Newcastle towards Gordon. Header won by Timber. Headed out to the left by Guimaraes to Byrne, who heads it forward to the halfway line. To Partey, who's got Gordon on his back. Keeps it away from him for now. Partey turning away from Gordon and Hall. Pretty calm from the Ghanaian. And he finds Rice in the centre circle. Turning around himself. And looks to go forward now, Declan Rice. Not being pressured at the moment with the ball. He works it out to Lewis Skelly. Lays it off for Trossard. Thinking about the early ball towards the 18-yard box, but he's one-on-one with Murphy instead at the moment. Keeps it simple to Gabriel. And then across to Saliba, just in front of the centre circle at the moment. Back out to Gabriel again. Wanting to go for a switch if he can. That's what he's thinking about, but it's not on for him. So keeps it going down the left-hand side to Rice. Rice with the ball to Saliba. Really compact defending here at the moment by Newcastle United. It's now out to Nwaneri on the right wing, running at Hall. Taking it on the outside and putting a cross in, which deflects still into the box. But it's headed away by Tonali. And it reaches Gordon, who tries to go the long way around Ødegaard, but the sliding challenge from Saliba stops him. But Timber miscontrols it. And that's a throw in for Newcastle. Just seemed a bit under pressure there, Jurriën Timber, who missed the Euros injured with that ACL injury. Didn't quite recover in time to be fully fit for the Euros. And Arsenal have already won it back. Poor clearance there by Lewis Hall. Now out to the Arsenal right again to Ødegaard. Got Nwaneri to work with now instead of Martinelli, who's come off with an injury. Nwaneri with it, running at Hall into the box again on the outside, puts a right-footed ball in, overhits it. Madly overhit. And out for a goal kick for Newcastle. It is positive starts though for Ethan Nwaneri off the bench, looking lively already. Youngest ever Premier League player. Came on against Brentford away in September 2022 at the age of 15 years and 181 days. Also played for Arsenal's under 18s at the age of 14. Shows how highly rated he's been during his time at Arsenal. Joined the club Ethan Nwaneri at the age of 9 in 2016. So, taken by Dubravka. Over the head of Trippier. And headed forward by Murphy as far as Gabriel, who heads it away to the halfway line towards Havertz. Loses out to Trippier. And Cher sends it back to the goalkeeper of Dubravka as he's been closed down quickly by Rice. Tries to cut out his clearance, but it goes straight out of play anyway. Thrown for Arsenal just inside the Newcastle half. And he takes it quickly here. Lewis Skelly to Partey, the holding midfielder. Now Timber. 4 minutes left of the first half. It's Ethan Nwaneri on the right-hand side. He is left-footed on that right wing. Keeping it away from Gordon. Pokes it into the box here for Timber. Then back out of the box to Ødegaard. Across the pitch it goes to Gabriel. Loads of time on the ball here for the number 6. Rice. It's now Trossard on the left wing running at Trippier in the final third. Tries to poke it into the box but it deflects and reaches Guimaraes, who avoids the corner and plays it to Trippier. Then back inside to Cher. Back out to Trippier right next to the corner flag. It's now Guimaraes. Closed down by Havertz, shoved to the ground by the German international. And that'll be a free kick as Havertz pushes Trippier away. Guimaraes, the captain, stays down for now. As it's a booking for Havertz. Three minutes left of the first half. Just showing a bit of frustration there, Kai Havertz, who's only got two goals, against Newcastle. One for Chelsea, one for Arsenal. So Havertz in the book. Guimaraes received it just inside the 18-yard box. And yeah, it was just quite an aggressive shove into the back of Guimaraes without really any regard for winning the ball. So everyone's back to their feet, and it's the free kick's taken by Dubravka, headed forward by Saliba, headed away by Botman. Headed away again for Arsenal there by Lewis Skelly that time. And it's a Newcastle throw-in towards the halfway line on that far side. It's now Fabian Cher, touches it great, and he kicks it off Havertz, and it thankfully for Newcastle falls to Botman on the edge of the 18-yard box. Goes to his left now to Burn. Being closed down by Nwaneri, but can clear it long and high up towards Gordon as he tries to run around Saliba, but he's been held back by the Frenchman. That'll be a yellow card for William Saliba. Knew that Gordon would have got the better of him for pace if he allowed Gordon to spin behind him. So had to grab onto the shirt. And it's a yellow card for William Saliba, who's already been sent off once this season away at Bournemouth. Back in the middle of October. For that time, it's just the yellow card at the moment. So just about 5 yards inside the Arsenal half. It's a Newcastle free kick, and it looks like they're going to try and launch this into the box, possibly through Lewis Hall. He will. It's a floater. It's into the 18-yard box. A free header away, though, there for Gabriel. Held up by Trossard, who can't quite keep it away from Tonali, who's then tackled by Havertz. It drops to Trossard, back through for Havertz. Sliding tackle from Burn. It's clean, as you'll see. And he wins it back for Newcastle. It's now Guimaraes in the midfield. To Isak, who's dropped in to link up the play, but he's been tackled by Lewis Skelly. And Partey will play forward to Ødegaard. Shifts it to his right to Timber. He'll drive forward and play it out to the right wing to Nwaneri. Running at Hall. Gordon's tracking back as well, but Nwaneri in the box. The angle's tight. He puts it across, and it's defended by Botman, kept in by Hall. Now Gordon to get rid up towards Isak. Nowhere near him in the end, and this can be dealt with by William Saliba, who can find David Raya. As we've had 5 minutes added on here at the end of the first half. It's Newcastle still leading by a goal to nil on the night. 3-0 on aggregate as they try and aim for a second League Cup final in the third year in a row. Partey. Everyone behind the ball for Newcastle. Gets it forward to Ødegaard. Nice little flick there to Rice. Can't quite work the pass once more to Trossard. It's now with Guimaraes. Not loads up there with him. Does go to his left to Isak, who will go to his left once more to Gordon, who will run at Declan Rice and get away from him. Here's Gordon running at Timber. Onto his right foot. Edge of the box. He'll try and curl it to the far corner. And it's just a yard or so wide by Gordon. Not the worst attempts in the world by their number 10, who's not scored in his last 3 league games. He's only on 8 for the season in all competitions. He got 12 in all competitions in the entirety of last season. But that was just never quite bending in enough for Newcastle to score the goal. So already back with Newcastle on the edge of the 18-yard box with Sven Botman keeping it away from Havertz. Trippier on the far side in their defensive third at the moment as Arsenal try and win the ball back as high as possible. Schär caught out in possession. Reaches Lewis Skelly, who needs to try and go forward as quickly as he can. He tries to slip it through towards Havertz, cut out by the sliding Trippier. Now Tonali, midway side of the Newcastle half, sending it over the top for Gordon. Has he timed his run? Flag will stay down for now. Saliba coming across to try and defend him. Gordon in the box. On his left foot, goes for the strike. Comes off Saliba, no flag goes up. Corner kick for Newcastle. On this near side. Yeah, he was in his own half, Gordon, so he couldn't have been offside. And there was just not much support up there for him. So he's had to go on his own, and the shot was eventually blocked by Saliba. We've got 3 minutes left that have added on time. 5 minutes were added on by the fourth official, Thomas Bramall. Trippier, left arm raised, right-footed in-swinger to the near post. It's a header away by Havertz, not convincing. Schär puts it back in the mixer, volleyed by Havertz, and away it goes to Trippier, the original taker, who can head it back to Hall. He's going to be forced to go back to Dubravka on the edge of the Newcastle 18-yard box. Time with it. He's going to go long and out to the Newcastle left. Can't find Gordon over here. And left behind there by Timber for an Arsenal throw-in inside their own half. Timber with the throw-in, as Arsenal are unbeaten in their last 7 Premier League games away from home, and they are currently 14 unbeaten in the Premier League. 9 wins, 5 draws. That started from the 10th of November, that run. But they have lost their last 2 cup games against United on penalties on the 12th of January, then of course at home to Newcastle on the 7th. It's the Trossard cross, cannons off Trippier, throwing in the final third here for Arsenal on that far side. Already taken. And it's now with Saliba towards the halfway line. And I think there was another ball on the pitch, so Trossard's quickly kicked it off it, and Simon Hooper drops the ball, and Arsenal can go again as they're running out of time here in this first half, because 3 goals in the second half would be a big ask. But if they can get one now, just makes it slightly easier. It's Ødegaard on the right wing. Timber's making a run around him. Ødegaard goes into the middle though here to Partey. And back forward for Ødegaard. It's now Nwaneri. Touch away from Burn, and then a slide tackle from Burn. Kicks it away, I think, for a throw-in right next to the corner flag. Brilliant defending so far in this first half by Dan Burn, who was a Newcastle season ticket holder himself as he was growing up, but released by the club at 11 years of age. But now he's back after making a £13 million move from Brighton. As it's going to be another Arsenal throw-in. Tackle that time by Lewis Hall on Ethan Nwaneri. Timber again waiting to take the throw in. Rice returns it to Timber. Then Timber looking this time for Partey, battling with Sonali, who just kicks it up into the air towards Lewis Skelly, who's battling with Trippier. They both missed the header. Lewis Skelly, though, will beat Trippier to the ball and get away from his tackle. Then Guimaraes takes him out from behind. And there's going to be one last chance for an Arsenal free kick. Or will there? There won't be. I think it would have been deemed as a foul by the referee if there was more time to play, but there isn't. So at half-time, we are now 3/4 through this semi-final, and it is Newcastle 1, Arsenal 0 on the night, but 3-0 on aggregate to the home side. It's been a very interesting game of football. Despite Arsenal dominating the possession, every time Newcastle have gone forward, they've looked really dangerous. They've had the same amount of shots as each other, both had 6, and they've both had 1 on target. Isak did score an early goal, though, for Newcastle to put them 1-0 up in the game, but it was disallowed due to VAR and an offside in the 7th minute. But just 12 minutes later, Isak again played through by Gordon after a 1-2 completed. And just on the edge of the box with his left foot, he had a shot towards the top left corner, came off the inside of the post, went across goal, and Murphy, first time, just squeezed it into the near post after taking a nick off the post itself with the Murphy shot. And that goal could definitely stand as everyone was onside, and it meant that Newcastle had a 1-0 lead on the night and a 3-0 lead on aggregate. Newcastle have had to defend a lot because Arsenal have had a lot of the ball, but overall they both had the same shots on target and off target. And again, it's just showing how Newcastle at the moment in this tie are being just more clinical than Arsenal. As here at half-time at St James's Park, it is Newcastle 1, Arsenal 0, 3-0 on aggregate. Jacob Murphy with a really well-taken goal to get them in the lead tonight. I'm going to go for a quick break for half-time, and in 15 minutes I'll be back for the second half live commentary of this semi-final. But at the moment, as it stands, it is Newcastle 1, Arsenal 0, 3-0 on aggregate to Newcastle United.
Oh, we are back for the second half of this League Cup semi-final, second leg between Newcastle and Arsenal, and it is Newcastle who lead on aggregate by 3-0. They're at 1-0 on the night, a goal in the 20th minute from Jacob Murphy, but Arsenal had a chance before that goal with Martin Ødegaard, and it was a right-footed shot in the box. I thought he'd just put it really wide. I thought he'd sliced it a little bit because it was his weak foot. It actually cannoned off the outside of the post. You couldn't really tell from the angles until they slowed it down and showed it during half-time and went, oh wow, that hit the post. So Ødegaard has hit the woodwork for Arsenal, and right after he did so, Newcastle went up the other end and scored. So it just shows how moments can change games in such a big sense, especially in semi-final second legs when there's so much on the line. So with Newcastle to kick us off, kicking left to right, Arsenal right to left, and we would need an almighty comeback from Arsenal if they're going to pull this one off. And funnily enough, it is actually 14 years to the day when Newcastle completed their comeback against Arsenal in the Premier League, that 4-4 game, the very famous game when they turned it around and won. I say won, would have felt like a win. They drew 4-4. Cheick Tiote, the late Cheick Tiote, with that equaliser, his son is actually at the game tonight, and he was he came out with Bruno Guimaraes as the two teams entered the pitch. So that was a nice touch. But yeah, 14 years, that 87th minute equaliser from Cheick Tiote after Arsenal were 4-0 up in 26 minutes, and Newcastle did the second half comeback. As we're back underway here, as we are 14 years on from that. And it's Gordon winning a throw-in for Newcastle. No, last touch off Gordon. Arsenal throw-in. Nwaneri going back towards Saliba. Keeps it away from Isak. Still with Arsenal in their defensive third. It's to the goalkeeper of Riot, who just holds the ball for the moment. Isak slowly just coming across to press him, but he can work it to Rice. And on once more to Gabriel. Gabriel to Trossard, turning away from Guimaraes, caught late by the Brazilian, yellow card from the referee. It's a late one, that, on Trossard, and Simon Hooper, the referee, was quick on the case to bring out the yellow card. I think Bruno Guimaraes is just rather fortunate that he's not gone in high. If it's a high challenge, that it's a red card, but it was along the ground. He caught the ankle of Trossard. It's probably the most obvious yellow card that the referee will give tonight. And it's funny enough because Bruno Guimaraes missed the first leg due to a yellow card suspension, so he's in the book again. And Trossard stayed down here. It'll be a painful one, that, right on the ankle, the right ankle as well for Leandro Trossard, and they don't want to lose anyone else, because they've already lost Gabriel Martinelli in the first half with a muscle injury. So they don't want to lose another forward. The only other forward they've got on their bench tonight is Raheem Sterling. Yeah, it's not a nice one, that, by Bruno Guimaraes. He was a dead cert in the Brazil national team. He's featured in the last 22 Brazil games, Bruno Guimaraes, now at the age of 27, making his 15th League Cup appearance. He's been sent off in a League Cup semi-final second leg when they face Southampton in their run in the 22-23 season. Trossard is back to his feet. He is hobbling, but he's back to his feet. And we'll have an Arsenal free kick here, midway inside their own half, with Raya to take it. He's thinking about going long, and he will. He'll send it out to the left-hand side towards Lewis Skelly. Trippier lets it run through. Lewis Skelly will close him down. Trippier tries a clearance, but it's not a very convincing one. Now Rice to Havertz. Can't quite find Rice again. Cleared by Trippier up towards Gabriel and halfway, who heads it across to his centre-back partner of Saliba, who wants to go forward, but he's been tackled by Gordon, who can catch out Raya. It's just wide. He took it on so early there, Gordon, and there was really no need. It's a huge let-off for William Saliba, who should have gone backwards, but he tried to go forward instead, and Gordon has seen Raya off his line, and he's gone for the early shot 40 yards out, and it was just always bending away from goal. Because Raya was out of his goal to try and create an angle for Saliba to pass the ball to, but it never came, as Rice can kick it out to the left to Trossard, who's now working better with that ankle injury that he picked up a minute ago. Trossard on his left foot will shoot. It's well dealt with by Trippier. Corner for
Arsenal on this near side. It's been a lively start to the second half. Newcastle still lead 1-0. 3-0 in aggregate. They've got a pretty difficult away game coming up in the FA Cup, Newcastle. Taking on League One leaders Birmingham, who've got a team built for the Championship. Then they've got to go to City away at the Etihad on the 15th of February. And then at home to Forest. So quite a few challenging games upcoming for Newcastle. And for Arsenal, they've got Leicester away, West Ham at home, and Forest away. So some difficult games up for them as well. It's going to be an in-swinger here from Rice. It's a good ball. It's a header away there by Hall. Out to the Arsenal right where it'll be Nwaneri to pick the ball up here. Gets it onto that left foot. Recycles it in. It's a deep one to the far post towards Rice. A header won by Murphy. It'll be another corner in the same place for Arsenal. Good defensive header there from the goal scorer, Jacob Murphy. Former England under-21 international. Murphy joined Newcastle back in 2017 from Norwich for £12 million. It's going to be Rice again, just ticking over the 5th minute of the second half. In it goes. It's a deep one. Can it be kept in? No, it can't. It will go all the way through. He's disappointed with himself there, Rice, because Saliba just couldn't quite get there. The French centre-half, who played every minute in the Euros for France as they reached the semi-final stage, and he was the one who almost he did give Gordon a huge chance to score, but he put it wide there, Gordon. Just not quite sure why Saliba wanted to go forward there. It was never on. Gordon was closing him down quickly, and realistically, Gordon should have scored. He's just gone for a too outrageously curled shot. As Trippier heads on from a long ball from Dubravka, headed back towards Raya by Gabriel, and it has to be helped on by Saliba to reach the goalkeeper. And Arsenal can build from the back here. Only lost 3 games away from home last season in the league, Arsenal. It's Fulham, Aston Villa and Newcastle when they lost by 1-0. Very controversial Gordon goal as Rice is dispossessed. It falls to Gordon, who will score this time. Newcastle are strolling their way back to Wembley for a second time in 3 seasons in the League Cup. Gifted their second goal of the night. Raya and Rice, the ones at fault for the goal. And a few minutes ago, Gordon missed an open goal to put Newcastle 2-0 up. But this time, he makes no mistake of making that scoreline the reality. Anthony Gordon, he scored in the first leg and he's now scored in the second with the Newcastle scarf wrapped right round his neck. He has really got this party started at St James's Park. Such a poor goal for Arsenal to concede. Raya had the ball, taking his time with it. Rice came to show himself, but Cher was the one tracking him all the way. He got the tackle in. It fell to Gordon 12 yards out. Raya was right in front of him, but he was able to slot it underneath the Spaniard into the bottom left corner. It's a really well taken finish by Anthony Gordon. Put on a plate to him after the Arsenal defensive mess up. And this three at the back system that Eddie Howe has deployed tonight has worked an absolute treat. It's Newcastle 0, Arsenal 0. Newcastle 2, Arsenal 0. 4-0 on aggregate to Newcastle. It's a very one-sided semi-final tie this now, based off the scoreline. And I think the three at the back for Newcastle is just meant that Fabian Schär just man-marks Declan Rice, takes him out of the game completely. And that obviously just stops Arsenal's build-up play from the back. Just a real tactical masterclass from Eddie Howe so far, as he's trying to get to another League Cup final. His best League Cup finish before joining Newcastle was 3 quarter-finals in 2014-15, 2017-18 and 2018-19. He'd never reached the semi-final before joining Newcastle. He's now got there twice and he's looking to get into 2 finals as well. Newcastle have the ball in the left centre-back position with Botman. Lays it off to his left to Burn. Lifted down the line towards Isak. Header won by Saliba. Havertz towards Ødegaard. Drops to Hall instead, who wants to go forward, but goes back to Tonali, who will then drive it forward and go over the top here for Isak, who I think is just offside. Will the flag go up early? It will. Offside there on Alexander Isak. And it remains 4-0 to Newcastle on aggregate. It's just going from bad to worse for Arsenal in this competition. Trossard on the left wing in the final third. Onto his right foot, taking on Murphy. Now can he take on Trippier in the area? He can't quite do so with the help from Guimaraes, who will bring it away on the edge of the box. He's won a free kick as well. He's being pulled back there by Trossard. 10 minutes into the second half. It's Newcastle 2, Arsenal 0. Still that 4-0 on aggregate. It's quite a frustrating end to their League Cup campaign last season for Newcastle, because they were beaten away from home against Stamford Bridge against Chelsea on penalties. The year before that, of course, was the final against Manchester United, where they were beaten. The year before that was a second round exit away at Burnley on penalties. The year before that was a quarter-final exit to Brentford away from home. Second round the year before that, penalties to Leicester. So it's really only been since Eddie Howe's took over where they've actually done well in this competition. It's now an Arsenal goal kick it. With David Raya going long. It's a big thumping kick up towards Havertz, who loses out to Botman, headed into the air by Tonali. Played forward by Gabriel. Havertz will run after it, so will Nwaneri. What will Burn do with it? He'll head it out wide to Hall, who can turn and clear down the Newcastle left, where it gives Saliba a bouncing ball where he can't quite deal with it at the moment. He's battling with Gordon. Saliba gets the slide tackle in, and it will drop to Gabriel, who will just lift it forward to Rice, who will send it out wide left towards Trossard, who can keep it in, but it's tackled by Trippier. Kicked away, right back to Raya. And Arsenal will have to start again on the edge of their 18-yard box. Ødegaard on the right, playing it forward here to Nwaneri, who came on in the first half after a Martinelli injury. He's running at Gordon, now Hall, still just outside the box here on the right-hand side. He goes back into Ødegaard, who needs to make something happen here if he can. Ødegaard still with it. Playing it back here to Gabriel. Havertz bullied off the ball on the edge of the box by Guimaraes. She's then tripped by Partey. Free kick for Newcastle, midway inside their own half. This is why Eddie Howe should be held in such high regard. I think he's a quality manager. What he did with Bournemouth, taking them from the 4th tier up to the Premier League and making them a pretty strong Premier League side until it kind of all went a little bit wrong towards the end of his stay. But just to get them into the Premier League anyway was a real achievement in itself. And now what he's done with Newcastle, of course, he come into the club where they were inserted with a bit of financial money, a bit of a financial boost, but still, you've got to get those players playing for you and playing at the right level, and he's done more than that at the moment, especially in this game for sure. As Dubravka goes long up towards the edge of the box where it bounces through towards Isak, it's caught by Raya, who quickly kicks it out of his hands here, right through for Havertz down the centre of the pitch. It's a great kick. Havertz is on his own, he goes down over the challenger Hall, and it's nothing given, and Trippier gives him a piece of his mind. Havertz can't quite believe he's not been given the free kick there. Good kick from Raya. Havertz was just on his own, and he was kind of sandwiched between Hall and Trippier. Bit of a shove there by Hall, and Hooper's just waved it away. Is there a foul there? Hall comes in. No, that is more shoulder to shoulder for me. Would have been a pretty harsh decision there on Hall if that was given against him. Just over half an hour to play. Still 2-0 to Newcastle on the night. Dubravka with the kick forward. Headed away by Rice. Out to the right side here to Nwaneri. 10 yards away from the halfway line, try to keep away from Hall, but then tackled by Gordon, who comes to help his teammate, then works it to the left here to Isak, and then Gordon makes the run ahead of him. Still with Isak, though, gets onto his right foot and shoots straight down the throat of Riot, and Arsenal have the ball back. He's definitely hit shots with more conviction there. Alexander Isak still searching for his 20th goal of the season. Thought he had it in the first half, but he was disallowed for an offside goal. Partey driving away from Guimaraes. Then playing it to his right here to Lewis Skelly, who takes it over the halfway line with a pass to his right here to Nwaneri. No one down the middle of the pitch here for Arsenal as Havertz gets it down that right wing. Then back through for Nwaneri. He'll put a cross into the box. It deflects through towards Timber. But swept up by Tonali, who just overruns it. That'll be a corner. Just couldn't quite keep it in there, the Italian. Sandro Tonali making his 40th Newcastle appearance, of course. Missed a lot of last season with that betting ban. Was out from August to June. But he's gone straight back into the Italy setup. He's played the last 6 games between the September and November international break. He's going to get a double Arsenal change, and I think they're kind of seeing that their League Cup campaign is over, because Martin Odegaard, the captain, is going to be replaced here by number 23, Mikel Merino. And Leandro Trossard has been struggling with that ankle problem since the start of the half. Will be replaced by Raheem Sterling, who's making his 40th League Cup appearance. He's won 5 of these trophies in his career, Raheem Sterling, all at Manchester City. And if he scores tonight, it'll be his 175th club goal of his career. So half an hour to go. Odegaard off and Trossard for Sterling and Merino. So corner goes in swinger, and it's a header away by Murphy at the near post. He'll be put back in by Nwaneri. Needs to be a better cross than that if Arsenal want to try and at least get a consolation goal. Nwaneri again, crossing it in. It's a better ball. It's Dubravka to punch it up into the air. It's still in the 18-yard box. Header won by Byrne. Drops to Guimaraes, who can kick it out to the left towards Isak, who will try and keep it in if he can. He will keep it in, Isak, and he can't take on Rice, though. That's a brilliant sliding challenge from Declan Rice. Came through at Chelsea, spent 10 years at West Ham, now at Arsenal. 1 goal in the League Cup already this campaign, Declan Rice, and that was against Bolton in the 3rd round. Did play the full 90 in that first leg as well, Declan Rice. Schär, right centre-back, going backwards as he was being pressed there by Kai Havertz. Fabian Schär again. Forward, it goes to the halfway line to Isak. Loses that, though, to Saliba. Loose ball goes to Trippier, who heads it down the line, but headed back towards him by Gabriel. Up towards Havertz, who loses out to Fabian Schär, who will turn out and try and play it down the line. He's been knocked to the ground, though, by Havertz. But Trippier took over with a pass to Botman, so play will continue here for Newcastle. With the left wing back, Lewis Hall. Into the middle to Gordon. Keeping it away from Partey for the moment, but then tackled by him eventually, who goes down the line to Nwaneri. Running at Byrne, goes on the outside of him and then puts a ball across, but no one's there to attack it. And that'll be a throw-in on the opposite side for Newcastle. I think Nwaneri there asking for a potential penalty, but nothing given by the referee. So have a look, step over, and then onto his right foot. Byrne was coming across. Caught him as he'd put the cross in already. Just needs to be careful there, Dan Byrne. So thrown for Kieran Trippier. Flicked on by Isak, straight out of play. Throw in for Arsenal, which will be taken by Miles Lewis Skelly. Joined at the age of 8 to Arsenal in 2015. Grandparents have mixed Caribbean heritage, but of course represents England, as that was his country he was born in. Played 5 times for the England under-19s. Lewis Skelly. It's out to the right wing. Nwaneri onto that left foot. Then going back into Timber. It's now midway side the Newcastle half here with Saliba going across to the left here to Lewis Skelly. Gabriel. Everyone behind the ball for Newcastle as they've got that 4-goal lead to protect. Still with Gabriel. Out to the left wing he goes here to the substitute Raheem Sterling. One-on-one with Trippier. Plays it back into Gabriel, and the cross goes in, and it's a header won by Byrne. Out to the right side it goes here to Timber, who will let the ball roll out for a throw-in for Arsenal. They're still in the final third here. It's taken quickly. Thrown here into Marino. Wants to try and go forward if he can. He goes across the left here to Havertz, who can't get it under control. Drops to Isak. Out to the left to Gordon. And the break is on. They don't need to exactly go for it here, Newcastle, but a third goal would just make the scoreline look even nicer. Gordon goes back, though, holds it up, and goes back. And Newcastle have it with their central centre-back as Sven Botman. 25 minutes left. It's still Newcastle 2, Arsenal 0, 4-0 on aggregate. Two fantastic performances from Newcastle a month apart to tear Arsenal apart in this semi-final. Guimaraes clips it over the top towards Murphy, put too much on it, and that's going to be a goal kick for Arsenal. It's David Raya on the ball. Goes forward to Havertz, trying to hold it up, but Botman gets a foot in, but kicks it only as far as Marino. Arsenal have it in their own half here. It's now with the right back Timber. Goes forward to Nwaneri, who can take it on the half turn nicely. And then having to keep away from Guimaraes, who pushes him to the ground. That's a free kick for Arsenal. Taken by Saliba, who goes short to Partey. Then Saliba across to Gabriel. The tie's pretty much over, but Arsenal will still want to try and just reduce this scoreline to a less embarrassing result. Lewis Skelly at left back, try to get into the box, tackle by Trippier, and it'll be a corner for Arsenal on this near side. He's played superbly tonight, Kieran Trippier, who does have a contract here at Newcastle until 2026. He's played Arsenal 13 times previously, before tonight, 7 of them in North London derbies, 2 of them in the League Cup as well. He's never scored against them though, Kieran Trippier. And his last 4, and all of his 4 goals for Newcastle, Trippier, have come at home. His last away goal in his career came back in March 2012. So if he does score, Trippier, it's usually at the home ground he plays for. As an in-swinging ball goes to the far post, it's headed away by Byrne. As far as Nwaneri, who just nods it to his right towards Marino, keeps it going here. Is Timber out to the right now to Gabriel, still in the 18-yard box. Gabriel kicks it off Byrne. That's going to be a corner kick for Arsenal, this time on the far side. It's not like they've had plenty of sight of the Newcastle goal, Arsenal. They've had a lot of ball around it, but just not getting enough dangerous chances off. Referee Simon Hooper just having a word with the likes of Timber and Byrne, who are just doing a little bit of shoving and pushing in the 18-yard box before this corner can be taken. We've got a quarter of the game left to go. And Newcastle are making their way to a 3rd ever League Cup final. It'll be the first League Cup final where they won't be facing a team from Manchester. Faced Manchester City in 76 and then United in 2023. In swinging ball again. It's towards Dubravka, who can punch. Sterling heads it back forward towards Partey. Can't take on Murphy. Tackles him. He feeds it out to the left now to Isak. Got Rice right next to him. Can he take him on? No, he can't. Tackle by Rice. Throwing though for Newcastle. Well played by Alexander Isak, who's got 19 goals this season in all competitions. And in last season, he got 25. So he's almost guaranteed to beat his tally from last season. Left his home country of Sweden in January 2017 to join Dortmund, where he only played 13 times for the Yellow Wall, scoring the 1 goal. Cleared up into the air by Newcastle towards Gordon. Header won though by Gabriel. Beyond the halfway line it goes, and off the top of the head of Nwaneri, but then also a slight nick off Hall, so throwing on the halfway line for Arsenal on that far side. Thrown back here to William Saliba. He's only making his 5th appearance in this competition. The Frenchman. Signed from Saint Etienne for £27 million in July 2019. Lifted ball over the top down the right towards Timber. It's going to be dealt with here by Byrne. Hall, first time clearance towards Gordon. Touched it to Isak, then returns it to Gordon. Just inside their own half still. He now goes beyond the halfway line and beyond Saliba. And into the space for Isak, who's going to give chase to this ball towards the corner flag. Saliba will beat him to it and he'll turn him really well. Good defending from the number 2 for Arsenal. They've obviously conceded a lot of goals in this semi-final, but that's a good piece of defending. Now Havertz, who's isolated again, stopped by Sven Botman. That will be a free kick. Was not letting him get beyond him there, Sven Botman. Making sure Havertz hit the ground. Partey in the centre circle. Everyone behind the ball for Newcastle, except Alexander Isak. Nwaneri, midway inside the Newcastle half, tries to get in between the lines to Havertz, cut out but drops to Partey. Lewis Skelly. Again, trying to get in between the lines, but it can't be controlled by Marino. It's now Sven Botman with the clearance off the head of Rice. Always tries Gordon, who tries to get it to Tonali. His touch is poor. Picked up by Saliba on halfway. Partey. Forward and out to the right to Marino. Then into space for Havertz, who's tackled by Byrne fairly. Wins the ball. Then goes down the line towards Hall. He's tackled by Marino. Byrne catches Marino late, but Nwaneri will take over and play continues. Nwaneri getting into the box around the outside of Gordon. He can't do it though. Out-muscled. And that'll be a goal kick. Well defended there by Anthony Gordon, who can also attack and defend. As it does seem like this St James's Park atmosphere is absolutely rocking at the moment. For Eddie Howe, this would be his 5th win in 10. His 5th win in 11 against Arteta. It'll be 4 wins in the last 5. Because Arsenal went on a crazy run against Newcastle where they just didn't stop winning. They won 18 of 19 games against Newcastle from March 2012 to November 2021 in all competitions. Slightly changed now, though. A bit more even between these two. Dubravka's gone down again, though. He was struggling with an injury in the first half. It's now his left leg, of course. They've got Nick Pope as a backup, so it won't be the end of the world if Dubravka has to come off. So just a bit of a stoppage in the play at the moment. So Newcastle lead 2-0 on the night, 4-0 on aggregate. With 18 minutes of the 90 to go. Murphy with the first goal in the first half, and then Gordon with the second in the second half. So let's see if Dubravka will be able to continue or not. Eddie Howe telling his players to concentrate. Dubravka's back to his feet and he's playing again. And he takes that goal kick towards no one in the black and white shirt. Free header there for Partey. And it'll be seen behind for a throw-in by Lewis Hall for Newcastle, just towards the halfway line. Arsenal have it back with Nwaneri, who's got the ball kicked off him by Guimaraes, and he drops into the path of Rice. 25 yards out, still driving towards the box. Rice lays it off to his right to Nwaneri. Then on once more, the cross goes in the end and then drops to Nwaneri, who shoots, sent it straight down the throat of Martin Dubravka. Never going to trouble the Slovakian there. But he's probably been the brightest shine in this Arsenal squad tonight after a pretty dismal performance. I think he's been pretty lively since coming off the bench. Ethan Nwaneri, just 17 years of age, turns 18 at the end of March. just like Lewis Skelly, Nwaneri plays for the England under-19s at the moment. He's got 6 in 9. He's only failed to score in 2 under-19 games, and that was against Belgium and Croatia. Tonali on the left wing, shielding it away from Partey and entering the final third. There's not much up there with him here for Sandro Tonali. Turns backwards, then is fouled. Does he win the ball? I think he wins the ball there. Shaking it away, so it's a throw-in for Newcastle. Tonali just stays down, though, at the moment. Let's have a look. Partey just staying tight. Looks like he just kicks the ball. Potentially could have caught his foot on the follow-through. So Tonali slowly getting back to his feet. We're in that final third here. Throw in for Newcastle. Can't quite keep it alive with Gordon. It's now Havertz trying to turn around Botman, and it's unsuccessful. And it's a throw for Newcastle. Saw it behind, and it's just quick thinking from Eddie Howe in terms of his tactical change, where he's gone for this kind of back 3, back 5 system, because Joe Linton was injured at the weekend against Fulham. He was wearing a knee brace on a leaked picture, which isn't great. So Joe Linton might be out for some time. So to come up with kind of like a solution so quickly before such a big game, and it has to pay off, that kind of decision, because if it doesn't, and Arsenal come here and win and go through, then you've got to start pointing fingers. But it works so well. They've used it to man-mark Declan Rice, and it's completely stopped Arsenal playing out from the back, where they've really struggled tonight. There's Anthony Gordon bullying his way through Arsenal shirts, but the touch was just slightly too heavy, and it's allowed Saliba to step in and take the ball away. It's now Arsenal's turn to attack in the Newcastle half. Timber in behind down the right side of the box for Havertz, onto his left foot, tries to get it back onto his right, but his touch is heavy, and it's an easy collection for Martin Dubravka. And this is just turning out to be a really easy game for Newcastle as we edge towards full time. Their top 4 finish 2 seasons ago for Newcastle was their first since the 02-03 season. But in the last 10, their average position since returning to the Premier League after winning the Championship in 2017, Newcastle's average position finish in the Premier League has been 10th. Obviously, that is improving, especially the last 2 seasons, due to the increase in money and the better squad. As Burn heads away there, but he looks like he's landed rather awkwardly, and he's just rubbing just underneath his kneecap. Hopefully he'll be absolutely fine to continue. Dan Burn. Got a contract here till 2026, the 32-year-old. Making his 3rd start in a row in the competition. Is Arsenal going to make more changes? One of them is going to be number 33, Ricardo Calafiori, to come on, the 22-year-old. Just his 20th appearance in all competitions, his 2nd in the League Cup. He'll replace Timber. And Partey is also coming off for Jorginho, who looked to be set to a move out to Brazil, I think it was, to Flamengo, I think. But he's ended up staying, and he's lost 2 League Cup finals in his career, Jorginho. Don't think he'll be reaching one, though, this season with Arsenal. It will be Calafiori to go to right back for Arsenal, despite being left-footed and being more of a natural left-back. Sterling on the left wing in the final third. He's got Murphy in front of him. What can Sterling do? Goes back here into Gabriel. He's going to put a cross into the box. It's chested down by Marino towards Rice, but Tonali gets in there and clears, but only as far as Saliba. Out to the right to Calafiori, 25 yards out from goal. Plays it back into Jorginho, who'll put a cross in towards Marino. Header won by Share. Well, as far as Miles Lewis Skelly, Arsenal's number 49. Out to this near side to Sterling. He's going to run at Trippier and takes him on. Good feet from Sterling. He'll let Murphy kick it out, and it'll be a corner kick on the near side for Arsenal. Will this consolation goal come for the Gunners? We'll have to wait and see. going to be Rice with the in-swinger to the far post, and no one's there for Arsenal. There is not a red shirt in sight at that back post. A wasted corner from Declan Rice, who's usually so much better at those deliveries. And as the ball goes out, we're going to get a Newcastle double change here. So Jacob Murphy, the goal scorer for the first, will be replaced. He gets a huge round of applause from the St James's Park faithful, and he'll be replaced by number 28 of Joe Willock, formerly of Arsenal, and scored against them last season off the bench in their 4-1 away defeat at the Emirates. And the second change, we'll see Sven Botman come off, just making his 5th appearance of the season after coming back from an ACL injury. And he'll be replaced by number 17, Emil Kraft, because there's no out-and-out centre-back on the bench for Newcastle. So Emil Kraft will come on, the Swedish international, on for his 7th appearance of the season. 4 of them in the League Cup. He suffered a broken collarbone between November and January, but he's one who's also returning back as well. 10 minutes to go, still Newcastle 2, Arsenal 0, 4-0 on aggregate. Rice on the halfway line, driving away from Willock into the centre circle. Probably been, again, one of Arsenal's better players tonight, Rice. I know he was at fault for the second goal, losing out, but in terms of just trying to make something happen, he's probably one of the more lively players. Calafiori 1-2 with Rice, try to slip it through towards Sterling, but cut out by Guimaraes. Newcastle bring it away from goal. Gordon showing too much of it to Calafiori, and Arsenal will come again. Nwaneri on the ball, not being let go there by Tonali. Advantage played as he can release it to Gabriel. Jorginho lifting it over the top for Havertz. One former Chelsea teammate to another. Has he been dragged down in the box? The referee says no. And it's going to be Newcastle to have the ball with their goalkeeper. No, not enough in it for me at all. Jorginho was trying to argue the case that Dan Burn had his arms around Havertz. He might have had these arms around him for a second or two, but there's just not enough in it for a penalty for me. Remains 2-0 Newcastle. So Newcastle can see the Wembley Arch in their sights. And it's a long way home for Arsenal fans tonight on this Wednesday night. 10-hour round trip on the roads. Probably a bit quicker by train, but not by loads. Dubravka, big kick out to the Newcastle left, where Calafiori gets up to win the header. Well, as far as Guimaraes, who puts it back forward towards Isak, dealt with though by William Saliba. And Arsenal have it midway side their own half here with the left centre-back of Gabriel. Jorginho, another ball over the top, looking for Sterling this time. Headed down by Cher, straight to Guimaraes, who can nod it on towards Tonali. Them two work out between them, and they can play it out to the right wing towards Willock. But as he kicked it, Guimaraes was caught. And that'll be a free kick for Newcastle. Lewis Skelly can't believe the decision has gone against him. It's going to be a yellow card for Sterling for back-chatting to the referee. You can see that the Arsenal players are frustrated because to go from such a high of beating Man City 5-1 at the weekend to now being knocked out of the League Cup semi-final pretty comfortably by Newcastle, it can almost mess with your head a little bit. In fairness, it probably is a foul. Just caught him as he played it. So, launch forward for Newcastle. Drops to Dan Burn, who can beat Rice to it. Willock takes over, but then he's then tackled by Rice. And it's now with Havertz. Trying to play down the line to Sterling, it deflects, and it's kept in by Kraft, and then down the line to his other substitute partner, Willock. Again, not loads on for him down that right-hand side. Shoved in the back by Lewis Skelly, but keeps it moving to Trippier. Ball inside then to Guimaraes, then back down the line to Willock, who can keep it in. He lifts it to the far post towards Lewis Hall, who arrives late, headed away by Marino. Looks far as Tonali, but an offside flag goes up. Within that build-up, I think the ball from Guimaraes to Willock was the one where the offside was seen. again, it's sometimes difficult to commentate on games like that. I say a game like this, it's obviously really exciting for Newcastle, but when the game kind of peters out in this fashion, it can be a bit difficult at times to kind of, make the game sound exciting, because the game isn't exciting at the moment. Arsenal are kind of hopelessly attacking, trying to get a consolation, because they know that a goal won't really matter on the grand scheme of things. And also, they can't score because Newcastle are defending so well, as Tonali gets the ball that breaks loose, gets there ahead of a sliding Jorginho. Tonali knocked off the ground, but the switch there to Willock is good, but the touch isn't. Tackled by Lewis Skelly, and it's in the hands of Raya, who can quickly roll it out in front of him to the now Arsenal captain of Jorginho. I think Tonali struggling with a bit of cramp as it's worked out to the right wing here to Nwaneri. No one really in there though for Arsenal. He does find Sterling, who's tackled, and it drops to Gordon. Back inside to Guimaraes, who can not get away from Jorginho, but the loose ball goes to Tonali. Can't get it over the head there of Jorginho. Calafiori to Havertz on the edge of the box. He shoots, it comes off Trippier. Headed away by Kraft. It's now a Guimaraes. Ooh, that's a late one from Rice. He's trying to claim he got the ball. Guimaraes wants the crowd up for it. I'll be surprised if he avoids the booking there, Declan Rice. And I think he might have. The ball dropped to Guimaraes and Rice just went in. That's a high one. That is high. He's frustrated there, Rice. Gets his leg across. I mean, yeah, it's probably not even a yellow card because there's no real studs there showing. So I'm not sure if he was booked or not. I think he's avoided it. Declan Rice says we're going to get another double change for Newcastle as we've got 4 minutes left of the 90. And it's a welcome sight, this, for Newcastle. Alexander Isak comes off. He had a goal in the first half in the 7th minute, but he was disallowed for an offside. He'll be replaced by a returning Callum Wilson, who was out with a back injury from August to November. Came back for 4 Premier League games, then got injured again with a hamstring problem, and this is his first game back. So it's good to see Wilson back, just another option in terms of a forward position for Newcastle. And the second change, we'll see Sandro Tonali, who has not stopped running all night, and he'll be subbed off for Sean Longstaff. Born and bred in Newcastle, joined their club at the age of 6. He was linked to Everton, though, in the January window, but he never moved. His brother, you might remember, Matty Longstaff, is currently at Toronto, having a great time. And he's not started any of the last 9 Premier League games, Sean Longstaff. He did come on for the last 25 at the Emirates as well. There's Trippier. Just kicks it away. And that's a goal kick. There's Trippier and Lewis Skelly just going in for a bit of afters between the two. Because Trippier was just, his only aim was blasting the ball away. And almost didn't care if it struck Lewis Skelly. It didn't in the end, but I think Lewis Skelly knew the intentions there of Kieran Trippier. As Jorginho's ball is cut out by Burns, and Guimaraes takes over. He tries to shoot, but Rice gets in the way. And it's a goal kick. I say Rice gets in the way. He was almost just more putting off Rice. He was putting off Guimaraes, which meant the shot went over. So 2 minutes of the 90 to go. Alexander Isak's been given player of the match. For me, it'd be between Guimaraes and Tonali. I think them two in the centre of midfield against the Arsenal 3 has been absolutely sublime, if I'm going to be completely honest. As Rice does it on halfway, tries to lift it over the top for Sterling. He volleyed into the air by Kieran Trippier, who's going to try and meet his own clearance. No, he won't. He'll leave it for Marino for Arsenal, who will control it poorly, but thankfully for him, it goes to Jorginho instead. Good ball by Gabriel in between the lines for Lewis Skelly on the left-hand side. Then inside by Havertz to Rice, moves on once more to Sterling. Then Rice again has it. Try to find the ball in the box here, and it does find Lewis Skelly. Back through for Rice. The angle's tight. He'll try for the near post, but it's saved by Dubravka. There is no offside flag given, and it will be a throw-in for Arsenal on this near side, taken quickly by Havertz to Sterling. He's going to go for a cross in. It comes off the head of Guimaraes, and it can't be avoided. The corner kick, and it will be Arsenal's ball. Just thankfully for Newcastle, that wasn't on target, that Guimaraes header. He didn't mean it to go back towards his own goal. It's just the way it deflected off his head. Can Arsenal potentially score a consolation goal? Obviously, it wouldn't mean anything, but just makes the scoreline look a little bit nicer. Rice in swinger. It's a free header and it's over the bar. He's got to score. Miles Lewis Skelly simply has to score. He's all on his own in the 6-yard box, and I think it almost hits his shoulder. And that goes so high over the crossbar. Is it off the shoulder, off the head? What does it come off? I'm not sure. I'd have to see another replay, but that is really, really bad from Miles Lewis Skelly, who's having his breakout season at the moment. As we've hit the 90th minute, there'll be 4 added on to see the game out. There's Nwaneri. Will lose out to Longstaff as he drives out towards the Newcastle left. Goes back here into Byrne. Forward to Gordon, inside to Hall. Back out wide to Byrne. Then he restarts with the central centre-back here of Fabian Schär. It's now Emil Kraft. Out to the right here to Trippier. Back down the line for the runner Kraft. Tries to take on Lewis Skelly. And the last touch comes off the Arsenal man. And it's going to be a throw-in for Newcastle on the halfway line. They're going to make one final change. And their captain, Bruno Guimaraes, will be met with a huge round of applause. He has been magnificent tonight in that centre of midfield alongside Sandro Tonali. And he'll be replaced by still only 18 years old Lewis Miley. He played a lot of football last season. Missed the back end of the season with a back injury. Missed out between March and May. Then also was out between July and October, Lewis Miley, with a metatarsal injury. But he's just slowly starting to make his way back. And he's going to play the added-on time here. Lewis Miley joined the club at the age of 7. Just his second ever appearance against Arsenal. He signed a new contract this time last year until 2029. His 2 brothers, well, Jamie Miley is now at Hartlepool permanently. He was once of Newcastle. And his other brother, Mason, is at Newcastle's under-18s at the moment. As Calafiori defends well against Hall, plays it forward. And Marino helps it on. He's been pulled down by Schär. And that'll be... Oh, no, it's Havertz, sorry. As Fabian Schär has been booked. A little bit of afters between him and Havertz. So we've played half of the added-on time. 2 minutes to go. Newcastle have scored 2 in this leg, 2 in the second, 2 in the first as well. And they have pretty easily swept Arsenal aside to reach a League Cup final where they'll face either Liverpool or Spurs. That'll be decided tomorrow. Spurs go into Anfield with a 1-goal lead themselves. Calafiori forward from right back. Getting into the final third here, but being followed by Gordon. Goes inside to Havertz, who goes on once more to his left here to Rice. No real option on though for him. Twisting and turning, just trying to make something happen here. Declan Rice, it's just felt like he's been the only one trying to do that all night. Finds Jorginho, then down the line here to Havertz, who'll try and cross it. It cannons there off Lewis Hall. I think it hits his private parts. And it will be a corner. Or is it his face? Sorry, I think it's his face. And it will be a corner for Arsenal once again with a minute of the game left to play. After 180 minutes here of this semi-final, can Newcastle keep 2 clean sheets against an Arsenal team who scored 80 goals all season in all competitions? It's out to the far post and it's well caught by Dubravka. It's probably the first one he's caught all night, but what a time to make a really vital catch from an Arsenal corner. 25 seconds to go. Dubravka will go along with this. He'll kick it out of his hands as far as he possibly can. Big kick forward from the Slovakian into the Arsenal half. Can't quite be brought down by Wilson. Now Lewis Skelly with ball in behind for Havertz. Schär will come across and we'll give him a little nudge. He'll send him away from goal. Havertz still has it. Strong tackle in there by Trippier. And it's a free kick the other way. Havertz just leaving the last little push on Trippier. And it's a free kick for Newcastle. Well won, but there won't be any time for the free kick as Newcastle reach Wembley again. It's the second time in 3 years where Newcastle have reached the League Cup final. Last time out they were defeated by Erik ten Hag's Manchester United. This time it will be a different opponent, but it will be equally as difficult. It'll be Liverpool or Spurs in that final. And they are looking to win their first major trophy since 1955. A 69-year wait could be ended on the 16th of March. They'll have to wait for their potential opponent, but Newcastle have more than done their job in these 2 legs. Played Arsenal off the park, home and away, and they truly deserve their League Cup final appearance for this season. Of course, the trophy isn't theirs yet, but Newcastle will go into that game full of confidence because they've been there before. It won't be a new experience for a lot of these Newcastle players. They'll remember the hurt and the pain of that previous final loss against Manchester United, and they'll want to use that to try and make sure that for them, the result goes their way this time around. The first goal was scored in the 20th minute. Jacob Murphy finishing after an Isak shot hit the post, and just a minute before that, Ødegaard had hit the post for Arsenal. And then right at the start of the second half, playing out from the back, Raya found Rice, who was dispossessed, and the ball dropped to Gordon in the box, who slotted it away. Bottom left corner, and it gave Newcastle that unassailable lead where Arsenal simply would never be able to catch them. Arsenal knocked on the door, they were huffing and puffing, they had a lot of possession but didn't do loads with it in terms of clear-cut chances. A pretty easy day in the office for Martin Dubravka in both legs for the 36-year-old goalkeeper, as here at St James's Park it finishes Newcastle 2, Arsenal 0, 4-0 to the Toonami on aggregate. Eddie Howe just doing Eddie Howe things. He's really revolutionised this Newcastle team. Of course, a bit of money has helped him along the way. But as I say, it's all good having all of the money. But if you don't have someone at the helm who can bring out the best of those players, then you're not going to go any further. You know, Manchester United are a prime example. How much money have they spent and how little progress have they made? If anything, they've gone backwards. But for Newcastle, they are going forwards. And they are looking forward to another League Cup final where they'll be hoping to end that 69-year wait for a trophy. Great commentaries, mate. Thank you very much. If you did enjoy, make sure you do like and subscribe. We should have quite a few commentaries coming next week because I'm off work, which, you know, means more commentaries on the channel, which will be nice and fun. I've already got the ones that I'm going to do written down. I don't know if they'll change, but at the minute I'm going to be doing Celtic Bayern Munich, which is next Wednesday, and then the next Thursday I'm going to be doing Port Vale Notts County, big game in League 2. And on the weekend we'll be covering the women's game on the 16th, which is a Sunday. It's an earlier kick-off. It'll be Arsenal women taking on Spurs women. I'm assuming that will be at the Emirates Stadium, that game, so that should be a good watch. So yeah, 3 commentaries coming up next week, which makes a change. Not as many this season. But if you did enjoy this one, like and subscribe before you go. But this is the end of this live stream, as in this League Cup semi-final, Newcastle have completely humbled Arsenal to reach the League Cup final. They beat them 2-0 at the Emirates. They've beaten them 2-0 here at St James's Park. A first half goal from Murphy and a second half goal from Gordon has left them with a 4-0 aggregate win. And in a month's time, they'll be taking on either Liverpool or Spurs in that final. But here tonight at St James's Park, it finishes Newcastle 2, Arsenal 0, and a whopping 4-0 on aggregate.